This week, I've decided to put as much effort into writing my introduction as they put into writing Ready to Rumble. So, what I need you to do is to go back 11 episodes to episode 31. That's the $1 Million Baby versus Here Comes the Boom episode. And you just play that intro and then come back here. I'll wait. We watch the wrestler in Ready to Rumble.
The French champagne.
Can you tell me which members of the Reservoir Dogs you two are currently dressed as?
I'm Mr. Pink.
Sis Blue.
So Miranda hasn't seen Reservoir Dogs.
Secret Nazis.
Yeah.
Secret Nazis.
Classic
Spielberg.
Classic Spielberg.
He needs to kill 94 different 65-year-old men over 2.5 years because those men's children are all identical clones of Adolf Hitler.
There's like a bunch of other shit that happens in Driven.
Is there?
Shake it! Shake it!
The schlocky movie from this week may be the schlockiest film we've ever seen on this podcast.
The Citizen Kane of the week is... Sean. So
you son
so
of a
shady.
You fucking son of a bitch, Sean.
So I wonder how Sean feels about these movies.
I know, no kidding.
No, I thought it'd start strong.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, I'm gonna start us strong as well and say, hey, you there with the earbuds in. Thanks for listening. Welcome to Citizen Kane Versus, where we compare a movie that is considered to be more of a classic against a movie that's more on the schlocky side, and we ask ourselves, honestly, which one's better?
Oh, good, yeah.
That was me doing like a wrestling announcer
Yeah,
thing.
no, I liked it.
That was good.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to leave the podcast and go into that, but
Okay.
I'll let you know.
There's good money in it, I hear.
Yeah,
Yeah, just like saying one line every weekend. Yeah, that sounds good.
and you're replaceable here, so.
Oh, shit. I'm highly replaceable, as you just heard, and my name is Jack Rennie for right now until a new person comes in. And I'm joined by my two friends,
The also replaceable Sean Jacklin.
and the irreplaceable.
Daniel Benoit.
He does most of the tech, so
Yeah.
so it's really, it's not functioning without the guy who edits the audio and stuff. So thanks for joining us. And if you've been enjoying these pods and you want to learn more a bit about us, I'm going to recommend that you check out our Twitter at Citizen Kane VS. Sean is usually in charge of that, and he's a great time. You'll find out more, but when we go live on Twitch, if you want to watch us there, you'll find that out there, and you'll also see him tell politicians that they don't know how to do their jobs, which is that's cathartic for all of us.
That's fun. I think mostly over the next couple weeks, it's going to be just long strings of swear words followed by only the Leafs could do this to me.
Ooh, this is likely. Yeah, unfortunately, as traumatized Leafs fans, it's hard to feel confident in any playoff situation.
Now I have an internet outlet for that anger.
Great.
Have they been doing badly?
No, they've been doing wonderfully, but they're
They've
going
been
into the
doing
first
the
round
best.
of it's the best
Yeah,
Leafs
the
team
best
that's
thing.
ever existed, and I
Yeah.
just know they're going to shit the bed. They're just
Yeah.
gonna.
No.
Yeah, they're gonna biff it somehow, and we'll have to just scream off our balconies.
Yeah.
But also there, you'll see occasionally, we're just kind of tapping at Carrie Elways' door, as it were, just knocking gently once every couple of days, just saying like, hey cutie, what's going on? What's up with you? So if you want to help us, maybe get him on the podcast, you can use our hashtag come on Carrie. Come on the show, Carrie. We want you so bad. So we had some super fun movies pitched this week by the irreplaceable Mr. Daniel Benoit. And we're gonna talk about these movies. That's because that's what the podcast is, obviously. But Dan, do you have anything you wanna say, or do you just want to introduce? Is there anything you want to explain to us? Tell us about these choices in any way now?
Like, you want me to justify why I chose them?
You know what? No. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I I loved pro wrestling so much when I was younger that I was convinced that it's what I was going to do as a profession. Like I thought I was going to make a career of pro wrestling. Obviously that faded pretty quick, but to this day, I've tracked its evolution. I still know all the names. I know all the stuff from like the business, like behind the scenes side of it. Like I follow all of it. I'm so inexplicably enamored with the professional wrestling industry. So this comparison just seemed like a no-brainer. And Ready to Rumble I've seen a bunch of times, and I will say it's been a while since I've watched that movie, and it did not hold up as well as I remembered it.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair though. That's like how I truly thought I was going to be a ninja when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
and I thought I was going to be a dinosaur, and I was going to be in a park. So
how sick would that be?
Fucking great.
I mean, you can still do it. It's never too late, Sean.
I know, but I've already been arrested once for being a triceratops in traffic.
What the?
You can find that joke and many others on my new stand-up CD that I can mail out to you.
Oh my
Stand-up CD.
Yeah, I'm burning them right now.
Oh man.
My new stand-up album. I'll be handing out floppy disks after the show.
Like the big ones that are like plates.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, Dan, without any further ado, then why don't you give us some what will be very apropos summaries, or the style of it will be very apropos this week. So take it away.
What's funny is that you say that, but they don't actually ever announce wrestling matches the way they did in Ready to Rumble. Like Michael Buffer being there, doing like bullshit. Never.
It's boxing, right? And like UFC.
Boxing, yeah.
That's hilarious.
It's not as exciting. Yeah.
No. All right.
Here we go.
In the red corner, representing the classics, a washed-up professional wrestler who struggles to pull his life together after a near-fatal heart attack, only to realize there is no life outside the ring. Coming in at 109 minutes, starring Mickey Rourke and Marissa Tomei, The Wrestler. And in the blue corner, representing the Schlock, two fucking insufferable man-children who take it upon themselves to save the career of their favorite professional wrestler / hero after he is unceremoniously ousted from the industry. Coming in at 107 minutes, starring David Arquette and Oliver Platt, Ready to Rumble!
Yeah, those are the movies.
Yeah.
And
I also
go ahead.
I also had a backup synopsis for Ready to Rumble, but I didn't know if it would be as fitting because it's not so much a synopsis as it is just kind of like a what are they called, honest trailers. So the second one was a feature-length commercial for a failed wrestling promotion that spends 2 hours exposing the business and making fun of its core fan base.
Yeah, that's yep. I would tag that one in too. That would as
both of them
as a tag team of intros.
Oh, there you go. You learned something.
I did. I mean, I knew that already. I wouldn't say I learned anything. Yeah.
Well, you must have learned a little bit from The Wrestler. I'll say that movie, like from what I understand about kind of the behind the scenes part of the indie wrestling circuit, that movie fucking nails it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. It reads like a documentary.
Totally.
Which is like maybe a dangerous kind of tone to set for a movie, but no, I don't know what I'm saying. But it does. I'd seen this movie, I'd seen The Wrestler before, so it wasn't my first time, but I definitely have had that experience watching it where I totally agree, Dan, that it was like, oh, that's so interesting. And I'll talk about, there's some scenes involving that are so fun and kind of charming in this movie, as well as like deeply
fucking devastating.
Yeah. You're like, really? Is that? I hope that's not real.
Oh, it's all real.
And then you have Ready to Rumble.
which also nails it also nails a lot of like the behind the scenes stuff, just more like the pro level when there's a lot more money and the show is much more put together, and then you're dealing with like the celebrity stuff as opposed to like having to take a staple gun to the nipple.
Yeah. Which, I mean, who hasn't, right? When you got to get paid, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's just jump in, as always. Let's just jump in. So let's begin with our I feel like I have to amp it up this week because of the content with our
do your best Macho Man Randy Savage impression.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to blow up my vocal cords though.
That's fair.
Isn't he always like hey brother?
That's Hulk Hogan.
That's brother. What does Savage do?
He's like, oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's
Oh
good.
yeah.
There you go.
Round one.
He doesn't say brother though. Don't they all say brother?
No, Hulk Hogan says brother. That was his thing. Yeah. There you go.
There we go.
You
Right
need
on
to
mic.
take steroids for about 7 years and spend that same time just yelling into a microphone, and then your voice will just naturally do that.
Okay.
Well, okay, maybe in a few years then.
Yeah.
I'll just do a classic like round one story.
Sure, that also works.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
I can bing bing bing.
Yeah.
So, so good.
Yeah.
Such a good choice. I don't know where to put that in categories, but immediate yes. Him
The
smacking his
elbow
elbows.
smacks. Yeah. Yeah. Love a good elbow smack.
I kind of want to talk Ready to Rumble first a little bit.
Okay.
We're gonna go
Let's
both of them.
please.
Because
All right.
like what the fuck?
No notes. No notes.
I took very few notes. I just mostly wrote down gripes.
Yeah,
me
got a
too.
few of those.
Yeah.
Me too. I mean, I don't take notes really about story at all, but I have so many more gripes than I anticipated for Ready to Rumble.
Yeah.
It's rough, folks.
It's
Yes.
It's like 32 crotch kick jokes connected by 33 poo jokes, and there's some wrestling in there.
I have in my notes, this movie is basically Dude Where's My Car meets Joe Dirt
Yeah,
meets pro
meets
wrestling.
Beavis and Butthead
Yeah.
meets
Yeah.
Mallrats. It's
No,
it's just
Mallrats
like,
is a little too intelligent for this movie. I
no,
think.
but like I guess the Jay and Silent Bob aspect they're really struggling to attain in some ways,
yeah,
like duo kind of thing.
yeah. It's a bit of a slog.
I don't get to use this word very often. This is one of the most asinine pieces of imitation artwork or something that I've ever gotten to watch. And when I say it like that, it almost sounds fun, but it's not. It's not particularly fun.
No.
It's not particularly fun, and I kind of wish it would. I can imagine how it could be fun.
Yeah,
I mean, I thought this movie was just utter garbage, and I still had a great time because the 12-year-old me was just loving all the wrestling in it.
Yeah, nostalgia brain.
Yeah, well, even now, like there's the latter half of this movie, or I guess maybe just like the climax, the big 3 cage match, doesn't make any sense at all.
yeah,
Which I think partly due to the fact that they spend the beginning of the movie showing you how wrestling is fake or like staged.
Yeah.
And then they get to this climactic match and they're still doing wrestling moves on each other, but now for real,
for real. Yeah,
which completely misses the mark.
And our central character in David Arquette is supposed to believe legitimately that wrestling is real. He's supposed to believe that they're actually doing these things to each other, if I'm to believe his statements in the first scene of the film.
Is he the main character?
I guess
I think insofar as he was the biggest name in the movie. At the time. I guess Oliver Platt would have been a maybe, but I guess I don't know.
I think fucking what's his nuts, the Martin Landau as the old guy coach Like, I don't know why he did this film. Why
Sal
Martin Landau?
Gundini or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
I love
like
me
one
some
of the
Sal
one of the
Bandini.
greatest actors of the 20th century.
Are you saying Oliver Platt? Yeah, Oliver Platt. That's
yeah,
King,
Oliver
right?
Platt's the other guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, why are you doing this movie out Oliver Platt? I guess
Why?
sometimes you just need to make a movie.
I guess so.
Got to pay the bills somehow, right?
Or World Championship Wrestling paid you a butt ton of money to make this movie for them.
Well, that I wasn't. So like this movie, little wrestling background for you guys. This movie was made in 2000. Okay, at that time, the WCW was literally at a ratings war with the then WWF. Okay. So they were like, their whole thing should have been protecting the image of the business and of the industry, because they were literally like the amount, like they were, I'd have to explain the Monday Night Wars, which is what it was called. Cause like,
it was like the WWE Raw night, and then they were
versus
going up against
WCW
them.
Nitro,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
were literally going head to head every week. And because of that, that is what actually made the WWF have to be so edgy, because they were losing ratings.
Gotcha.
So that's what made them so violent, and that's
right.
that's when they started really kind of like over sexualizing women and etc. Right,
And endangering all those pandas.
endangering all the pandas. Exactly.
Yeah.
Is that real?
No, they just had to change their name. 'cause-
WWF. Yeah, they lost a lawsuit
right.
to the
I
World
was like,
Wildlife Fund.
What did they start doing? Like shows with pandas in the
Hulk
ring?
Hogan and the
As some
pandas.
sort of,
Yeah,
like,
it was adorable and
spectacle
terrifying.
thing. I don't know. It's possible.
So, but for that reason, I was surprised. I don't know why they'd have to make this movie. I guess they were making the movie to kind of help improve their image, but they end up doing exactly what I said earlier, where they
Yeah.
show off how it literally is a circus show.
Yeah.
And they also alienate their key demographic by making them all look like fucking virgin losers.
Fucking idiots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking like,
So I
like
didn't
the
really know
worst
who this movie
people.
was supposed to be for. I guess it was supposed to be for fans like me, but watching it
But
now,
ultimately, it called you an idiot.
Yeah.
exactly.
And like if they were trying to improve their image, holy shit! Like,
Well, they folded the next year,
unless
right?
It was just
They got bought by the WWF.
Oh.
Yeah.
by the World Wildlife Federation.
Yeah.
Yeah, those pandas were angry.
Yeah, damn, this is some bougie pandas.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I totally like. I know what you're saying. That it seems like it would serve to alienate their audiences. Maybe they're thinking their audiences aren't going to care, and they think that their audiences are 13-year-old boys who think that poop is hilarious and girls are hot when you look at them.
Yep. I mean, correct.
But,
But yeah.
Anyone else? I mean, yeah. Let's not.
Yeah.
If it's when you're right, you're right. But but if you're someone who's trying to be introduced to that world, or trying to understand, this movie makes it seems like something that wrestling from happening. If this is this world, it's not a good depiction of like anybody.
No. And the saddest thing to me in doing my little bit of research for this film was that David Arquette was actually crowned the WCW heavyweight champion just to tie the movie in that much more with the championship. And then they staged a match where he had to defend his title against whatever the bad guy was in this one. I always just want to say Savage, but
The bad guy's
Diamond Dallas
name is
Page.
Diamond Dallas Page,
Yeah.
who now, if anyone's interested, runs a very successful yoga company called DDP Yoga.
Get out of here.
And apparently it's really great. Like it's like celebrities from all walks from all different like facets of fame are swearing by it. It's not just wrestlers. So
Stephen
anyways,
Hawking, his number one yoga
Stephen
place
Hawking.
before,
Ben Shapiro loves it. I don't know. So I didn't know that, but yeah, that
Yeah.
I knew he won the title.
Doesn't that just cheapen this entire sport, though? They hand the title to this dipshit actor and then have stage a fight that people have to actually like spend effort in to take back the title.
Well, there's actually a documentary on Netflix right now called, I think it's called "You Can't Kill David Arquette" or "You Can't Beat David Arquette." And I've just read the little brief description for it, and apparently it's about the fact that he's like has to like come back from the backlash that he received from that whole setup. Yeah. So
did he come back? Like, is he?
I think the documentary is about him trying to make a comeback into the world of professional wrestling because he was a huge fan and then basically became like a leper.
Oh, yeah. Fair.
Yeah.
I mean, fair.
And this is the guy who married Courtney Cox, right?
Yeah.
How?
Yes.
Love is love. You know,
Okay.
Scream.
You can't control it. Scream.
I guess.
Big
All right.
for both of them, and wasn't Rose McGowan also in Scream too? So there's a little connection to this film.
He was Rose McGowan.
Rose McGowan was
Who
in
is she in
Scream,
this?
but she's the cheerleader that backstabs them.
Oh,
Is
that's
she?
her.
Yeah,
Whoa.
yeah.
Wow. Even
I guess that
cheerleader
makes
doesn't feel
sense.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she's not a cheerleader. She's a nitro girl.
Ooh.
She's an object.
Which I believe
Yeah.
was a real thing also in WCW.
Oh, I don't doubt
Yeah,
it.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Don't doubt it.
I want to say though that like I'll give this movie shade, and I'll even get some shade to wrestling. It's not my cup of tea.
Sure.
I really do respect it though for its dedication to showmanship.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's the fact that it almost tours around like a traveling circus, displaying its freaks for everyone, is admirable, and like that it's like everyone knows, right, that it's fake, except for like kids, but like it's fake, and it's essentially these
they prefer scripted.
scripted, these scripted moments, right? But it's like these ongoing soap operas
Yeah.
that are built. It's like live action comics, you know, even in this movie kind of does a job of that, where like it's about, you know, the good versus evil. There's always bad guys that are kind of, you know, twirling their
The heel,
mustache and
yeah.
going, yeah, exactly, heel. And then you have the one you're supposed to root for as they come in, and either they lose that round, you're like, oh my God, they lost their title, and then they have to fight to get it back. And it's they have these long kind of ongoing stories, and I respect the shit out of it, and that the fact that it doesn't take itself too seriously, I think, right? Am I right in that? Like it knows that it's
not anymore. I mean, so when this movie came out, which is another reason why I'm so surprised that this movie did what it did, they were still very much actively trying to, what they say, as they call it, protect the industry. Right. So everybody knew that it was a scripted event, but nobody was like outwardly talking about it because they want to still have that kind of separation between the audience and performer, right? The same way that like when you're watching a movie, the movie isn't addressing how it's fake while you're watching the film, right?
Right.
Now it's totally different. Now they have completely broken down that fourth wall. They have a bunch of like reality TV shows and segments online where they have wrestlers like break down matches and how they were calling spots in the ring and what the planning was for rehearsrsal, and like they treat it now like actors talking about being in a movie.
Interesting.
That's cool.
Which is really interesting. And it's actually kind of reinvigorated my interest in professional wrestling, because now it isn't this thing that's trying to pass itself off as a real fight. It is showcasing the fact that it is just performance entertainment.
You come into a show.
Yeah. And also I will say now the sport, air quotes, by and large is far more athletic. Like if you watch some of the guys now, it is so fucking impressive what these these younger kids can do,
because now they have to compete with like UFC, right?
Well, now they have to compete with UFC. I don't know how well it's enforced, but they have supposedly some really strict drug testing policies. So they have to supposedly adhere to the same restrictions as professional athletes. So a lot of these guys are just not getting as big, which allows them to be a lot more athletic and agile in the ring and come up with some really, really impressive acrobatic spots.
Cool. Yeah.
So it has come a long way, but at this point, sorry, this is a long-winded answer, but they were trying to, at that point, still protect the industry. So they were kind of taking themselves tell themselves a little seriously.
Yeah, they were trying.
So-
I get. Is it that tricky word that gets floated around when they feel like they're being undermined, which is like to be legitimate? I imagine, like to legitimize it.
Yeah, I mean,
was a
they
concern.
were like, it was a weird thing because, so Vince McMahon, here you guys are going to get so much wrestling history in this podcast. So Vince
Great.
McMahon in '98 went on television and essentially broke down that fourth wall and was like, listen, in a segment, he was like, we're going to shift gears. We've been family friendly for the past, 12 years. And now we're shifting to an edgier model to give you guys the entertainment you want. We borrow from soap operas. We borrow from cartoons. What you're watching is sports entertainment, and just buckle up because it's about to be a much more adult oriented product.
There's
Right?
gonna be
Same
boobs.
experience.
There's gonna be blood.
Right. But
Yeah.
then that was kind of it. And then that was like the only time he actually addressed that it was a performance. And then from then on, wrestlers, when they went out in public, they stayed in character. When they did interviews, it was always in their character. They didn't really deviate from that at all. Right. So I guess in a way they were acknowledging that they were performers, but trying to legitimize themselves in like their own separate category, I guess.
Right.
Yeah,
Is the
keeping the show
WWE
going.
still hiring their wrestlers as contracted performers and not employees, or have they been brought back to reality on that?
I believe they're under contract the same way that like fighters are. So they'll sign like they aren't. No, sorry, that's a lie. Because fighters are contracted on a number of fights.
Yeah.
So as far as I understand it, they will sign contracts for
For like a tour?
no, for like a set number of times. So like 2 years, 3 years, and in that time they might be repackaged X number of times. But if at a certain point they feel like the company feels like there's no creative direction that they can take that person in, they will release them from their contract. So like they sign a contract for a certain amount of time, but it's never really set in stone. They can always kind of fire somebody.
Yeah.
And then they have people like Brock Lesnar, who I'm sure you guys have heard of, who became such a big name that now he is just doing part-time stuff. So he's signed to the he's signed as a he is literally a freak show character.
My God.
Who's brought in like once every 2 months to just like destroy somebody, and then he fucks off for a little while. And
Yeah.
Well, I know a few years back the WWE was getting heavy criticism because they were only contracting who are technically performers in their show, as opposed to like making them employees in the WWE. And so you end up with performers like Mickey Rourke's character in The Wrestler, who has serious medical conditions that he did not have a pension set up for him while he was hot shit in the 80s. So he doesn't have the money left over to address the crippling issues that are plaguing him after donating his life to wrestling.
yeah, I don't think that's changed.
Yeah.
I think that, and I actually turned to Marisa while I was watching The Wrestler and just said it's so sad that this is a near perfect snapshot of the story of hundreds, if not thousands, of professional wrestlers who like either make it and then they move past their prime and they're no longer famous, but they can't do anything else, so they wrestle until they die, or they just never actually get to like the big show and spend their entire career having crazy fucking death matches on the indie scene, and then they still die of a heart attack
in
at 50.
primary schools. Yeah.
Which that opening shot
Beautiful.
like said everything about that movie, and I thought it was so fucking clever. Anyways.
Yeah,
So-
I think we can use that to kind of transition into The Wrestler, though, right? Where, as you kind of said earlier,
That's
the
it for Ready
movie
to
with
Rumble.
a story. Yeah.
Ready to Rumble has a story. For the record, and I will say
32 cross jokes.
I'm just realizing this now because Jack was talking about the fact that that wrestling itself kind of follows like the soap opera format, and it is kind of like a live action comic or like a real life cartoon, which I'm surprised it took me this long to like chime into that or clue into that. But that's what this movie is doing. This movie is following the wrestling storyline format, just applying it to real people and not wrestlers.
Yeah,
right?
but look, I mean, like I have I have some respect. I have some respect, a fair bit of it, really, for wrestling, and I'll reiterate that once more. I think it has immense cultural significance, like in literally the global performance scene. I think it is a new phenomenon. It's drawn on things from the past, the luchadors and stuff from.
Well, it's been around for like over 100 years.
Like gladiatorial combat used to be staged in certain ways to put on the show for the audience. Yeah, it's nothing really.
But even stuff like Chinese opera, you know what I mean? Like has this idea of these ongoing stories and characters. Like this in the grand scheme of things, you know, when they look back hundreds of years, they're going to look at WWE and stuff like that as being like a legitimate art form. For sure, without question.
Sure. Yeah,
absolutely.
And like to what Cirque du Soleil is for Canadian mass-produced, kind of like highly acrobatic arts, WWE is the same thing in the States, in my opinion. Like it's a hugely important thing, and I honestly have no intention of diminishing it. Ready to Rumble does no such fucking thing, okay? Ready to Rumble takes something that could have real, legitimate, fun, cartoonish things and makes it a poop show.
Yeah.
That just how many things when the line was the interchange of, hey, why does it look like you have your finger in your ass, and him turning and saying, because I do. I was like, oh, okay.
And then he puts his poo finger in another guy's face.
And then they improv'd all the different lines for like, yeah, it smells like my ass.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I was very disappointed that was the first scene of this
like
film.
Scene one.
Last thing I'll say about this film, I thought I was going to be interested because I thought it was going to be a film based on the first scene where he has his fantasy takedown of the clerk, and then Savage comes in, and then the king comes in to save him, and he was having this fantasy. I thought the rest of the film was going to be intercut by different fantasies inspired by wrestlers and their like takedowns, that kind of whatever, you know, the shows they put on. I was legitimately interested in that possibility of where that movie was going.
Like a Jojo Rabbit style like premise where he's imagining him with him as he learns life lessons.
Yes. Yeah, a little bit. Not necessarily the same wrestler, but like he's in a predicament and he figures it out through wrestling moves, and then we come back into the real world and he kind of applies whatever he learned in the thing.
That's a good idea.
That's a good movie.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good
movie.
movie.
Thought that's what we were going to get, and we didn't, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it just doesn't really hit any marks. Like I just don't know. Look, not even to mention like the treatment of women. Like this is one it fails the Bechdel test, right?
Bechdel test, yeah.
Bechdel test.
Bechdel, sorry. It fails the Bechdel test pretty horrendously. That like it's just no good. It's just no good for
I would have a somewhat valid argument for that if there wasn't a B plot where the boss is literally pimping out one of the women. Yeah.
Like
there's no excuse for that, I don't think.
Like to make it clear, the wrestler, its lead female in Marissa Tomei, is a stripper, and a lot of her scenes are her either in a G-string stripping or in like borderline nudity, and it treats its women much better than Ready to Rumble. Like just to make that clear, like way better. That's what we're talking about.
They have voices, they have desires, they have needs, they achieve things, they fail at things. It's a life, you know.
She's a human.
Yeah. I guess Rose McGowan fails at foiling the King's comeback.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will kind of agree with you, Dan, that you said you mentioned the final scene. The last cage fight is silly. Like if more of the movie was kind of like that could have been fun. You know what I mean? And it was also kind of fun when they snuck the King backstage and he's in the outhouse, even though they don't explain how they did that. But I was like, whatever. I don't care about explanations. Yeah. But that whole thing and him breaking out and fighting with a toilet seat, like, and it's as though it's a backstage scene that they do at wrestling matches. Like that's a pretty fun premise. And now because it's been filmed and it's clearly exciting, they're locked in and they have to do it. I was like, oh, that seemed like there were a couple fun things. If they had just recast all of the actors and rewritten everything else, it would have been like probably a pretty fun movie.
They've done everything different. Let's talk about The Wrestler. Can we talk about a good movie?
All right,
let's talk about
The Wrestler.
What a fucking good movie.
What a fucking good movie.
Holy fuck. It's even better than I remember.
Yeah, it's really good. It made me sad. I had to just like sit in silence for a few minutes.
Immediately, it made me sad. Within the first scene, I'm like, oh no.
Before you got on, Dan, Miranda was also telling Sean about her experience, and it wrecked her for like a day and a half. she was like out of commission.
It's fucking devastating, and I don't know if this movie made me appreciate wrestlers more or just like pity them and wonder why they would ever decide to make a life out of that.
Yeah,
like it doesn't when you watch what people who are trying to be professional wrestlers have to actually go through. Mm-hmm. It isn't just like the starving artist thing. They are literally like I once heard a wrestling match being compared to a car crash in terms of the impact it has on your body. And they're doing this once a week if they're in the indie scene. They're doing it 300 times a year if they're in the WWE as like a regular competitor.
Wow.
Really?
300 days a year they're on the road. They're doing 2 live shows a week at least, and pay-per-views and house shows. So it's fucking insane. So maybe it's not in the ring 300 days a year, but they're on the road 300 days a year, and they're competing for a good chunk of that. And that's the people who have already gone through the dues paying portion of their career, where they're living in their fucking car and playing to a house of 4 people and having to take staple guns to the fucking nipples just to pay your rent. Right?
Yeah. Well, I think it resonated in a certain way with Miranda and I, honestly, not to say it's the same at all, but similar in our lives as like dancers and as being professional dancers, that there's that similarity of like your body, like we feel that all the time. Like I have to constantly remind my mom whenever she wants me to like take the leaves out of the eaves trough, like it's no big thing. And I go, you don't get it. If I fall off your roof, it's not just like, oh, a bad time, like anytime. It literally means I can't work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the times when like the stress that I can get when I tweak something or something hurts, and it's not at all at this level, but like we see that and we see some of a reflection in that, and it hits home, you know.
The next movie Aronofsky made was Black Swan, which delves into very similar themes, but in the dance world.
I am yes, wait, everything you're saying, absolutely, Jack. Sidebar, I'm dying to see what Darren Aronofsky would do with a comedy script.
If he directed Ready to Rumble?
Hey.
If he directed Ready to Rumble, it would have been a fucking phenomenal movie. Yeah. But I'm a little tired of his entire MO just being like, let's make the most crushing film possible. Yeah. And let's just make you feel like garbage for 3 hours, right?
Yeah. He's a sad man. He does what he knows.
Yeah.
Sadness.
Makes other people sad in brilliant ways. I honestly I don't really know much of Aronofsky's catalog, but The Wrestler immediately became my favorite of his films I've seen.
I only know Black Swan, The Wrestler, Requiem for a Dream was Aronofsky.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah.
And
Noah.
And Mother. Did he do Noah?
Yeah.
Is that the one with Russell Crowe?
And Emma Watson.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. That's a bit of a deviation, unless it's like the darkest version of that story ever. Is he religious? Because that's Noah and Mother. Those are two basically Christian movies.
At least fascinated by it, right?
He also did The Fountain, so that's a dope movie. But
The Fountain is dope, but a bit of its own butt.
But definitely like an evolution of his style to where we arrive with The Wrestler and Black Swan. Yeah, stuff like that.
I'll tell you, a lot of dancers, like ballet dancers, don't love Black Swan because it's actually not.
It's not a dance movie.
It's not. Well, not a dance movie. It's just that like what you're saying about The Wrestler. It's not quite the case with Black Swan.
Right.
Where it's like, oh my God, it gave such insight. It's not. It's a thriller, and you should not treat any of the ballet stuff as an insight into that world. It's it's just not. So
but
anyway.
there are people who push themselves to that traumatic precipice, you know? Yeah.
Absolutely, right?
Well, I mean, also in the same way that like the wrestler is a very, I think a bit more on the extreme side of an example of the washed up guy who's stuck on the indie circuit.
Yeah.
So I think that Aronofsky, I think he's very much kind of in love with the idea of like the tragic character from these worlds and really exploiting kind of the extreme of where you can go.
It's cool. It's a nice contrast, actually. It's really subtle, but now that I think about it, it's really quite cool. The contrast of his counterpart from 20 years ago, Bob, who played the Ayatollah. You know, and is this Bob, and he's a car salesman now, and like literally while they're getting ready to do the show, he's selling a guy. He's trying to sell him a car. Like he's just moved on, and he has a whole other life, and he seems fine. And he's having when he comes into the ring, he's like, "This is fun."
Yeah,
it's stuff like it's actually really interesting, intricate little work with just how to make a character do so much.
But it's a simple premise too, right? He took it's not a terribly creative premise he's going with. You know, man down on his luck, tries for his one last success through all things coming his way, batting them off. So it's not a very like creative or original setting, but the care and nuance with which everyone in the film put into their work just elevates it above anything else.
And I think it is benefited by the fact that he is highlighting a world that a lot of people don't have any direct experience with. In that way, right? Everyone's general experience with pro wrestling is kind of more like what you'd see in Ready to Rumble.
Vince McMahon, yeah,
exactly, the cartoon of it, right? So yeah.
I want to call out one part of this movie, which without being it's not bad, but to me it is for me it's kind of the bad part of the movie. Just that it's a bit tropey, and it's like the movie's already pretty relentlessly sad. You know what I mean? And I think that's tricky with the movie. You have 2 hours of relentless existential, just crushing dread is like a lot. I think the relationship with his daughter is just a bit much.
It was definitely felt like something that they had a complete script, and just before they filmed, someone was like, actually, it's going to test a lot better. It's going to get a lot more viewers if we include a daughter storyline in there. So can you write that real quick? Because it was really overwritten. I hate you, Dad. You're never there for me. Fuck you. Yeah.
Well, you always do this.
It just felt so shoehorned.
Even his sad speech to her at the piers.
Yeah, brilliantly acted by both actors. I think they both did the absolute most with the kind of overwritten storyline they were given. But
I think, we'll get into that.
I feel like if they had introduced her and that part of his life near the beginning of the movie and stretched it out more instead of trying to kind of cram it into the last 45 minutes of the film, it would have paid off a lot more.
Yeah,
because but it felt like you're right. It felt like just a kind of a quick addition to just pile on the shit to his life when it wasn't really at that point necessary.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so I agree.
Yeah, I wonder if they also did it backwards. You know, that what I don't know. It would have been more interesting if, like you said, if she was around and she was actually trying to get him to stop wrestling because she wanted to see him more. And he was refusing because he couldn't stop, and then that causes it to break. We get to see it break, and then he kind of gives up after that. I don't know. It's just the whole. Anyway, I don't know why I'm bringing it up, but I agree. It feels super shoehorned.
The only thing, the only thing really negative, not even negative, I have to say, just sticks out to me. Is anytime someone takes a pill, they just make a meal, like chewing and swallowing. And I've every single film I've seen, I think they just make a meal out of people taking pills
out of meals.
You know, it's just a little thing that drives me nuts.
Right.
When have you ever sat down with a pill and been like, and then looked for the water and you're like on your pill?
He shakes the pill bottle first. It's like, we get it. It's a pill bottle.
Yeah. Pills.
Thank you.
Okay.
Like, you catching this? I'm like, you got the sound on this? Here I go. I'm gonna wash it down with this beer. Yeah. I agree.
But yeah, but I have no bad things to say about it. Really,
I love as a counterpoint to that, I love the whole relationship between him and Marissa Tomei as as the stripper, also kind of at the end of her career as well. You know what I mean? Like they have that parallel, that kind of why they're connecting, and this tricky, gooey relationship where clearly, as you would think, like as she says, her main kind of obstacle in that relationship is that he's a customer, and that's you don't do that for all kinds of reasons, and him kind of knowing that, but also maybe being naive and thinking that it's kind of real, but maybe a little bit is real. It's just like, it's very nuanced, and I love it, and I love them both in it, and I think it's really good, and I'm glad the movie finishes with her being
there watching,
but
not there watching.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
They
right.
kind of imply that at the end that if she had stayed, he might have stopped, right? Like when he's climbing the top rope and looks over to see if she's still there.
And there's nothing. There's no one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So
he
sad.
commits suicide in public. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we don't know. He could have.
You could have survived.
Could have survived. What I think this movie was actually really missing was directly after that shot, just a fucking hilarious blooper reel.
Yeah, that really saved Ready to Rumble.
That fucking blooper reel. There's a blooper in it in Ready to Rumble where David Arquette. It's the really good scene where they're peeking in at the dressing room, and he's staring at her breasts, right? Which is a part of the movie, right? They kept that part. And he's saying to Rose McGowan, like the person, like he's clearly like being a dummy and making jokes, and he's like, I can't stop staring at your chest. And then she like looks to the camera in like a semi-panicked expression, like with like a look
she's
of
like, you're terrifying me.
Like, can someone please stop this? Like, it was like clearly looking for help, and then they're filming it like, this is such a funny blooper.
Yuck.
Are we also going to talk about the fact that they basically implied that he beat her during their sexual encounter?
Yeah, that's the thing that happened in the movie. That's about where my mind went.
Was that it deflating or farting? I wasn't sure.
Yeah, were you getting into the movie?
Both.
Yeah.
Both. Yeah.
The beating people up in this movie is pretty weird. Like, because as you said, Daniel, like the last part of it, they're fighting for real. They're using wrestling moves for real, which also involves just punching each other in the face. A bunch.
Well, see, okay, so that's the one thing I want to correct, because when they actually have the King and DDP really scrapping it out, they're just fucking fighting. But it's when all the other wrestlers come down to kind of back up their respective wrestler, and it's just a moment where the movie can highlight their signature moves. So where they've already established, like I said, they've already established that none of this is real and it's all staged. And yet when they have these guys like suplexing each other, you're supposed to believe that in this moment it's actually happening and it's all real,
right.
which is so silly.
Yeah.
But they attack Sinclair or whatever, right at the end. Cypher from The Matrix, that actor.
Yep.
That is him.
Yeah,
I was wondering
him.
where I've seen him before. Yeah.
Yeah, he wants the virtual steak. Anyway, so he
so juicy.
But they like confront him at the end, and they're just beating him up. They're just attacking him. They're like fully assaulting this guy. And this movie just hits so many wrong. I guess go on and on.
Yeah.
For me, it hits a lot of really bad notes of just something I don't want anyone to see.
It's clear who's
especially
going to
young
win this
boys.
point. Yeah.
All the points.
Yes.
I don't know. I would still recommend this movie to anybody who is a wrestling fan, especially
Because you have nothing else.
Sure, I'm not defending it. I am acknowledging that it is shit.
Yeah.
But there is enjoyment to be had if you can appreciate the nostalgia factor, or if you like professional wrestling now. Because that's
see your favorite guys from the past. They're on screen. They say things sometimes well.
Yep.
And I mean, I would say the same for the wrestler probably, because there are some recognizable faces in that as well. but just, not as many. And they're all very sad and beat up.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's definitely quite a mood to get into. I kind of wrote a note that was like, the opening of a movie where the hero is down on their luck? The wrestler is that, but the whole movie.
Oh, except there's 10 minutes. There's 10 minutes where he's walking on sunshine.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
that I guess is maybe my only story gripe with this film is that it's just exhausting and doesn't actually really, it doesn't let up in a way that feels like the story is progressing. It's just like his life is shit. It gets a little bit more shit, and then there's like a glimmer of hope, and then it all falls apart again.
Yeah, well, it's got
And it's a glimmer of hope, and then it all in like 2 scenes crumbles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got a really late inciting incident. The heart attack happens like 25, 30 minutes into the film, I think, right?
Right.
And that's what causes him to change the reality he's been living, and then he just rejects it 20 minutes afterwards because it doesn't work out for him. And it's an addict thing, right? It's like the first fall you have after getting back up, you're going to go right back to the dark places that were hiding you before. And it's I think it moves along well, but it's really like subtle. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad it's not any longer than it is. Like, this is a movie that I kind of feel that they probably wanted to make close to 3 hours.
Throw in another daughter line.
Yeah, a whole something else, but it's just enough, but it's definitely a lot. That would be my slogan for this movie.
Fair enough.
All
right, I'm gonna end the round.
Butts in seats. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna end the round and just keep us moving here because we have more things to say. So let's move into our second round. Round 2. Looks. That's probably too hot on the mic. Fuck.
No, you're fine.
Yeah,
There we go.
his first fucking thing, his physical gesture of slapping his elbows is incredible, and I love it.
Everything he does physically. in this
Also,
film is incredible.
Mickey, yeah, and just the fact that he looks like that as a human is incredible.
Yeah.
What a unique human.
Well, this movie was after, like, I don't know how many plastic surgeries I have to assume, and also like a crippling drug addiction, right? Like, this is a movie that, like, Aronofsky
Come
basically
back.
saved him. He pulled him off the street and was like, if you clean up your act,
Yeah.
you can be in this movie and I'll save your life.
Yeah.
But to look at his body, knowing that like however months prior he was like living on the street or something and as a fucking drug addict, and now he's like this muscle bound fucking stud.
Yeah, he was ripped, but ripped like suitably ripped for the age he is supposed to be portraying in
Totally.
the film. Yeah.
It was incredible how like perfectly wrestler body he was.
Yeah. Yep, the puffy ears, the like all the pock marks from
and-
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he looks incredible.
Yeah, and I mean all the wrestling stuff, like all the choreography, I thought was handled actually really well.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to highlight in particular is the death match juxtaposition of them back in the locker room getting the medical attention.
Oh my
and then
God.
intercutting that with the shots from the death match, which is all 100% legitimate. Like CZW, it's called Combat Zone Wrestling, and it's made its name from just having matches like this where people will staple each other and fucking use weed whackers on each other's bodies,
Barbed wire.
fluorescent tubes,
Body gore.
like fluorescent glass
Yeah.
tubes. Like, it's fucking disgusting. I once watched a video. Actually, maybe I'll find it for you. Keep talking. I'm going to find a video for you.
Oh dear! Don't watch this episode of Citizen Kane versus
Yeah.
if you want to keep your lunch down. The gore in this was effective, but I had to stop. Like, I had to just look away for a few minutes, especially when he jams his thumb into the meat cutter to get out of work.
Yeah. My God.
I saw it coming, and I just turned away from the screen and waited until all the yelling stopped.
Also, those scenes were shot in a way, and it was done in a way that, like, I was like, did they just actually have Mickey Rourke work a deli counter for an afternoon?
They did, yeah. They made
did.
him, yep. And then he filmed him in the store, so that's why it looks so natural.
Because
Okay.
were those real patrons? Like,
They had
I
to
think
be.
they were. I guess so, yeah. Because he
Some of them
worked
felt like-
worked a counter.
Like, I think they just had a camera there, and people were like, "Can I get my ham?"
Yeah, and then
Like-
he threw potato salad at people.
They for sure did that for the for like that dollar store scene where they're walking through the dollar store finding props
Right.
for their
Oh
match.
yeah, I forgot
Yeah.
that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Can I share a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should be able to.
Okay. Where's the?
This is gonna be really.
Are we gonna barf?
You're not gonna barf. This is more just to highlight the kind of fucking violence that happens in this kind of shit.
Okay, I'm gonna
You're not gonna
sounds like
barf. Share screen. It's not gory. It's just fucked.
Okay, can't wait.
Can you see it?
And you did it with sound. You shared
famous
screen with sound.
last words.
No, I
You
didn't.
did not.
I did not. Hold on. Stop. Share.
That's okay. Do we need some?
You do need sound.
Oh, okay. Fuck.
Especially on this
So-
podcast.
This is gonna be weird.
Okay. Are we full screen? Can you see that?
Yeah.
You're muted.
Okay. Am I good now?
Yeah.
All right. Enjoy, everybody.
You should not be using that weapon. Oh no! No! Please no!
He's gonna throw him off the rafters. He fell 40 feet onto the stage.
Onto a bunch of tables and almost broke his neck on the wrestling ropes.
Yeah.
That's just. Oh, there's a slow motion version of it. Here we go.
Nope. Yep. Slow mo. Look at him ragdoll. Okay. Oh. So he takes out about 3 rows of tables and is stopped by the 4th row of tables.
And that. Okay, so this was. Can you guys still hear me? So the guy who did that, his name was New Jack. Oh, I gotta turn this off. There have been like documentaries about this guy because he was so violent. That was actually payback because they had another spot. I think it was also in CZW where they were wrestling on like a balcony of this arena, and the spot was they were gonna fall off together through a table that was on the ground, maybe 15 feet below. And the guy who just got thrown off the rafters there, he botched the spot and ended up landing on top of New Jack's head, and he's like 300 pounds. And New Jack has like brain damage now because parts of his brain were like leaking out of his ear because of how, yeah. So that's the indie scene in some places in a nutshell for you guys.
Yeah. Okay.
Just like super dangerous stunts.
Real.
Yeah. So all that is to
boy.
say that I found that little intercut montage very fucking effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I loved was how humble the other wrestler was the entire time. Like I love the juxtaposition of watching them in the ring as these like psychopaths, and then having them backstage being like, "Yeah, sure, sir. What would you like to do?"
Yeah, they're all such nice guys, you know.
Yeah, they take care of
yeah.
each other in a weird way.
Yeah, he chose. It looked like this was shot on real film, just based on the grainy kind of gritty texture that was on it, or is that something that's easily replicated digitally?
Not easily replicated, but I was trying to find out. I mean, you can do it, but it takes some work. But I think
In 2008, you might as well just do it on film if you want that look.
it was either film or they just heavily graded something that was shot on what I thought was actually maybe like a cheaper camera. I was actually I was very impressed off the top with the choice to make this feel very like gritty and
Like a
the way,
documentary.
like
Yeah,
a documentary
documentary.
of
Yeah.
somebody on the indie circuit. Like you're just in that gritty kind of indie world with them. It got a little boring near the end because for me, parts of it began just kind of feeling cheap as
Yeah.
opposed to intentional. You know what I mean? So,
Well,
Yeah.
that last shot you mentioned where he looks to see if Pam, right, if Marissa Tomei is up in the between the curtains, and it's like clearly a zoomed in shot from like where he would have been standing, and
Yeah.
it's like suddenly this very blurry like
Oh, yeah.
shot because they've zoomed in, right? And on a not as high quality camera.
Right.
And it kind of sticks out where like unfortunately, even though I'm not looking for this too much in movie making, I was like, like it took me out of the film for a hot second instead of being like, oh no, like she's not
Yeah.
there.
She's gone.
I was like,
it's a little-
zoom in.
yeah, it was a little jarring, and they did a lot of like manual zooms in a shot, which you don't see a lot of in films. Usually they're done on like a dolly, or they have like a steady cam or something to make them so that the camera's actually moving as opposed to just having the lens zoom in and out, because
Yeah.
it makes it look like you're like you. either don't know what you're doing. They did it a lot in like the 70s and 80s before they had better technology.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There was parts of it in this movie. Parts of it felt brilliant, and parts of it felt not lazy, but like it was done quickly. Like
No,
they were
not
shooting
lazy.
like a guerrilla film on a
It was a
budget.
40-day shoot. I don't know how that racks up.
So that is not very long. I don't
Okay.
think. Yeah, 40 days. Not yeah,
Wow. And for all those wrestling scenes.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
but I mean, I'm guessing they just like.
He improvised a lot of his stuff, so they just like showed up and shot whatever he did,
Right.
at the deli or.
And it had that feel to it, right? It had the kind of run and gun vibe,
Yeah.
which I think worked in a lot of
It worked a
ways,
lot,
but
yeah.
but there were parts, like you said, like that blurry zoom shot that kind of stood out as
Yeah.
okay, like you're a professional filmmaker, you could find a way to do this better.
Which I will still take over the incredibly, horribly lit mess that was Ready to Rumble.
It wasn't a horribly lit mess.
Horribly lit. I
It
don't
was
know. That's a weird
horribly
gripe.
lit. There were shadows all over the place that just like with one more light would have been filled in, and we would have seen things.
Shadows are real, Sean. Shadows are a real part of
No,
life.
but like when you go to your elementary school, an elementary school play, and
No.
and they've got
How
they've
many
got, like,
elementary
6
school plays are you
lights.
going to?
I'm a theater
Yeah, that's a good
connoisseur.
question.
Yeah, it looked like they had a couple like lights they stuck some gels in front of and vaguely understood lighting principles and then shot a movie. It was not good at all.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
I didn't notice that as much, but
I don't know if the movie's gonna fucking win an Oscar for cinematography, but I think that the lighting basis was there. I think it was fine.
Yeah,
I think
it was
I don't know.
fine.
I thought there was some fun. I mean, it wasn't groundbreaking, but I thought that I thought that the
The
visual
nicest
kind of
thing that's ever been said about this film.
I thought the visual vibe of this movie was actually kind of fun. Again, it's that kind of like over the top cartoon of a film, right? So it's not meant to be beautiful. It's just meant to be kind of goofy.
It made me appreciate Here Comes the Boom and its visual style.
I
Because-
thought Here Comes the Boom was actually worse than this one. It was
Oh, no.
it
I
was
disagree.
grainier,
No,
it
no.
was
Boom.
weird and
No.
blue, and it was trying
No.
too hard to emulate trendy cinematography.
Yeah.
okay, I'll say this. Okay, Dan, I agree with you. I agree that this movie like kind of wanted to have that tone, and it
Yeah.
could have been so silly. That's, if I'm being honest, that's not really my issue with this movie. You know what I mean? I can accept a Jay and Silent Bob type movie where it's over the top and it's stupid. Sometimes it's really other things. It's writing and there's some performances, and the look of it isn't really what my main issue is with this
No.
movie,
Sure,
if I'm being
sure.
honest.
But it was bad.
Yeah.
It was still bad.
It was bad, but there was
It
like
was
stuff where like it
fine.
could have been good. Like even like you said, Sean, like the idea of like the fantasy in the convenience store. I too, like you, had this feeling of like, oh, I guess this is the kind of stuff I should be expecting, and it was kind of fun. You know what I mean? Like suddenly there's ropes around the aisles, and they're fighting it, and they're dragging over the tops of the shelves and whatever. Like this is kind of fun. Like I could maybe see how this could be interesting. It just becomes like too much about poop, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like,
a
I
lot of
don't know how else
sewage
to put it.
flowing. There's just a lot of dripping sewage in
When they're eating their burgers
scenes.
and there's the
Yeah.
dripping shit, like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
They're literally in the
Why?
poop business.
they're like they work in septic
Yeah.
removal.
Boo.
Yeah.
Which I think was tied in. The best, cleverest part of the movie was smuggling the king into the ring in the porta
porta-potty,
potty
yeah.
that said "made for a king" on it.
Oh.
and they put it away and they said, "We'll get you your throne soon." And I went, "Oh, there was a double meaning there." Aha! Well done, movie. And then it went downhill again from there.
Yeah. But I agree that it had moments where it was like almost smart things, almost funny things. I thought, and there was a lot of cheap stuff in there. Obviously, like way too many nut shots.
Yes.
It's
Way
just
too
not.
many.
It's just not funny at that point. Like it's barely funny in the first place. It's old humor, right? But
Right.
like the old kind of, when did this movie come out?
2000.
2000.
2000, yeah, right at the end of the 90s, like
Things were simple
inspired by like Adam Sandler's like Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison type humor.
Yep. American
where you
Pie had
have
come out the day before, the year before,
the day
Night
before.
before. Yeah.
But the trope of the old woman who says crass things.
Yeah.
Oh my God, ha ha ha. Like it's just they're at the end of they're trying to parody or like not parody, but parrot all of these shticks and ideas that have come in the decade before, but they're done. And so it's not like they've honed them and have done these shticks to the best.
No.
They are just aping other dumb comedies like the National Lampoon movies in a way that's really it's pretty lame. It's just lame.
Yep.
Yeah. Rant.
Yep.
Blech.
I don't
But the
think I have
wrestler
any other
is beautiful.
notes.
Yeah.
Lame. Wrote that down. All the wrestling shots are bad. When they had, not all of them. The ones where they actually have performers, the actual wrestlers in there, are not terrible. But the quick cuts to get Oliver Platt's stunt double in there and get him out again, it was awful.
I have to bring it up that in the same way that Mickey Rourke was a brilliant casting, like he is this movie, right? It's all about him, and part of that is his look and all that kind of stuff. His physical performance is outstanding. It's unbelievable. I think Oliver Platt is just the worst casting.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, it didn't really make. I mean, I think they cast him because he, as an actor, can play the part of a washed up, kind of disheartened wrestler from the South. Like that he can embody that pretty well. But physically, it makes zero fucking sense that he would be the top guy in this company or even ever get a contract with a major organization like the WCW at the time. He is fat, but not like overly fat, which you kind of have to be if you're going to be the fat guy in wrestling. You got to be like really fat.
Yeah.
Or you have to just be like freak show muscular or athletic. There's like certain body types, and for him to kind of be like a middle-aged kind of fat guy with a beard who like also can't really move in the ring, and his finishing move is what it is in the movie, just the
elbow to the head.
it's a double fist. It's not even an elbow. It's just the
Sometimes
double
he
fist.
elbowed people.
Yeah,
I swear.
Which
But he's not even a good character for wrestling. He wasn't like that. Also bothered me a lot, which is that I also know wrestling enough to know that if someone is named the King and they come in with a crown on and the music is like rum tum tum, that person gets beat up.
He's getting killed.
So
okay.
I think this movie is actually trying to poke fun at a very well-known wrestler named Jerry the King Lawler, who has worked now as a commentator for the WWF or WWE for decades. But before that, he was a huge name as a professional wrestler.
Yeah, the name's familiar.
Yeah, he was one of the biggest heels in his territory, which was Memphis before wrestling went mainstream, and was a gigantic heel in WWF before he transitioned to commentary. And he wasn't getting his ass kicked all the time. But this was when like the gimmick was still a thing, right?
Yeah.
And that's also, like, you guys wouldn't know this, but one of the main reasons why both the WCW and WWF were successful at this point in time was because they were veering away from the gimmick characters. Because in like the early 90s, it was like the garbage man versus the dentist, or like the clown versus the lawyer. Like dumb fucking shit. And then the WCW came in and said, we're going to not do that. We're going to play these people as like real people. And then the WWF followed suit and just came up with edgier characters, but also started playing them as real human beings. So then in 2000, to have the top guy be the King doesn't really make any sense. So at that point, yes, you're right, Jack. He would, if he was a new guy, he'd probably be a jobber. Yeah. He'd be a heel and a jobber. He would lose all the time, especially looking the way he does.
Yeah, exactly, right? But it's just his overall look. I'm like even his like luscious flowing hair bothered me. Like I just wanted to be like Bruce Willis. You know, if this movie was Bruce Willis and then it was like Harold and Kumar go to WrestleMania, it would be probably a fun movie. But unfortunately, it's
It's what
would also be a fun movie.
That'd be a fun
Harold
movie
and
with
Kumar
those.
go to WrestleMania.
Yeah, if those are the two guys, and it's them being high, and they think that Bruce Willis is with them, but like not
Right.
even playing a character, but like just regular Bruce Willis.
Yeah, but it's just the dean from Community.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Still in that character.
Yeah.
I hope
so-
the director of this movie is taking notes. and
Yeah.
listening to this.
If you're watching on
They don't
Twitch.
know how to read, Dan.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful.
So anyway, let's just move on. I just
Yeah, sure.
I didn't want to comment on that casting. That's it. But so anyway, moving on to our next round, round 3, sound. It's ding ding ding. It's hard to sell an S on a long drawn out word.
Yeah.
It's not like rumble.
and not sound like a snake.
Wow. It
Yeah.
shits the bed. What's to say about
What
these
is to
movies?
say?
So-
Yeah.
I think I will say if there was ever a round that Ready to Rumble might come out on top, I think it's this one. Only because, well, let me fucking talk.
No.
No, your opinion doesn't matter.
It both gains and loses points for Ba Went to Ba.
Ba
movie-
went to Ba?
The Kid Rock.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's what that song is called?
I think it's called Ba Went to Ba.
Oh, god damn. So Ready to Rumble. So okay, so I'll start with the wrestler.
Sorry, go.
Mickey Rourke, fantastic actor, great performance. A lot of the time I had trouble hearing what the fuck he was saying.
For sure.
Very, very low. I've also talked a lot in this podcast about the lack of sound being a choice and a very intelligent use of sound. But this movie, I felt overdid it. They, I think, didn't actually have anything scored in the film until an hour into the movie during his heart attack recovery montage. And even then, after that, it was very scarce. It was just, I think the only music you ever heard was atmospheric, when he was like in a strip club or the grocery store or like in a place that was just playing music, which is fine. But like by the end, it made the movie feel longer because there was so much long silences or whispering Mickey Rourke. Ready to Rumble. They did
Hey,
like
girls,
the fucking,
girls.
They did like the late 90s, early 2000s fucking
did that
teen
thing.
movie thing
Yeah.
where they just fucking play bangers from the time. But also
Quote-unquote bangers,
they also had some pretty epic music playing during the climax of the movie, and they had some the climax of the movie.
Okay.
The climax.
And I liked the kind of like regal theme song.
Fanfare for the Common Man. Yeah.
What's
Is
that?
what it's called. Fanfare for the Common Man is the name of his theme song.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Great. There you go. So there
I
was
did-
just more sound there.
There was more sound. You are correct.
I might in like my most like forgiving ways of sorts, like of acknowledging that maybe I would say that the scoring of Ready to Rumble like made it better. You know what I mean? That like
Oh, that's for sure.
what I could give it. You know what I mean? Like
Undeniable,
it did elevate the material.
I think the clincher for me, I agree, Mickey Rourke was hard to understand at
But
times.
David Arquette.
But well, yes, David Arquette made me want to claw my eardrums out anytime he spoke. But they do use music in The Wrestler to drive character, around the Axl Rose song that comes on in the bar and he starts dancing, and that's kind of overlaying that whole really pivotal scene. And I think it comes up later, that song comes up again at some point. So they do use music to drive the plot and the character motivations forward a bit, whereas girls coming out of them seeing a bunch of tits is inspired but doesn't do much for me outside of that.
Well, what it's doing is it's holding up a mirror to society.
Okay, I'm taking over. if I could, I would kick you in the balls in the spirit of this movie. Isn't there also, there's one that's a little on the nose with, again, because it's similar to like because did Million Dollar Baby came out after The Wrestler, right?
Yeah.
Right? And
I think so.
I feel like that's
no, it was before. It was a few years before.
Really?
Million Dollar Baby was a few years before The Wrestler?
Yeah, I think
No.
Million Dollar Baby was 2004. Let me just flip back in my notes here. Let me just bend her tiptoes.
Yeah, Wrestler's like 2008, 2009.
Yeah, 2008 for The Wrestler.
So that's pretty wild because they seem like similar. You know what I mean? Like how they wanted to clearly bait for an Oscar, but in this
2004.
case, I think doing it well. What was I gonna say? But there's a couple like they get on the nose, and then with the one song, don't they play like? Isn't there like there's like a don't know what you got till it's gone type? He's like driving in his van, and there's a song on the radio.
Yeah,
and it's talking. It's like literally a song talking about, that you've passed your prime, and if or I wish I knew then what I knew now, or something like that was playing.
Right. Yeah.
That I was like, okay, just like very on the nose. Overall, I think you're right though. Like, there's not a lot of scoring in The Wrestler, but it never felt that right to have too much scoring. Like if there were like the sappy music coming in, like they had in something like Million Dollar Baby, that I would say is kind of similar, then I would have been like, ugh, please stop. Like, I'm already sad. You don't have to tell me I should be sad too.
Yeah, instead you just hear him being stapled. You're like, oh, which I think is much more effective than if there was a song like dun 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 behind that or something.
And there's a whole character in the sound, which is that the roar of the crowd is a character.
Mm-hmm.
There's that really kind of great sequence where he's walking down, he's put on his hair cap and he's walking down to the deli counter, and there's a growing sound of the crowd, and then it builds until he gets to the plastic at the deli, and then he pushes through it and it abruptly cuts off. Yeah. And that's also how the movie ends. Like, that's his addiction. Like, there's a whole thing they're doing that is so smart.
Yeah.
That is better than anything that happens in Reddit to Rambo.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know about anything. Ready to Rumble has an old guy beating up two big muscle-bound young guys.
Mm.
He jumps up from a trap door, which I think is a very funny choice.
Yeah.
Jumps up from a
He's
trap
the best
door.
part of the film.
It's true. Yeah. Although I am insulted by whatever they think his apartment is,
Right.
that it's like a regular building and there's a giant space with a wrestling ring in it that also has a trap door. You can't build a trap door into an apartment building.
You can if you own the apartment below.
Or if it's a really, really shallow hole.
Yeah.
That's what she said. Okay,
Hey.
End of round here.
Girls. Is there anything else we need to say about sound? Like,
Absolutely not.
What are you going to say about Ready to Rumble?
Yep. Nothing.
All right.
Boring.
Okay.
Anything, Dan?
No. I said my piece. I opened this round. Remember?
There's so many, we keep talking about it, and it's like that urged at this point in the podcast to jump back to dumb things. There's also the whole side tangent where I'm going back.
We should just make sound actually story part 2.
Story 2. That's what ends up being. The whole fucking part where they go back to their hometown and they train in a really beautiful barn setup they have.
Oh, yeah.
And then they audition for his squad that never actualizes into anything.
No.
And he somehow
he ends up getting he has a
The hot
posse.
girl and the
firefighter, and the
but they
the
don't
spitter.
do anything.
Yeah, they walk in. They walk in later.
Yeah, that's
they
what I'm
walk in the
saying.
ring. Yeah.
They don't do anything.
No, they don't.
And then there's
After
also
he catches fire and just puts himself out, which didn't make any fucking sense.
Right.
He was fully ablaze and he just like pats his pants off and he's fine.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Look,
continue.
we've all been there. And then
Yeah.
the other fucking female relationship where the other guy, who we'll get into in a second, the kind of blonde guy of the two friends, the not David Arquette guy, he kind of plays it cool and walks away from the hot blonde who he'd been pursuing.
Yeah.
And then he goes to the more plain brunette. and says and gives her a gift, and she immediately has sex with him.
Yeah.
Well, she's already in love with him.
Okay.
No, that is stupid. I thought that was kind of cute though. I mean, yes, the poorly placed sexualization of the woman, but I thought that relationship was kind of cute because she was very charming.
Yeah, I did like her. You're right.
I also just want to highlight that the part where they go through the drive-through and the hot blonde is like, "You're such a loser." And he's like, "Would a loser have 2 front row seats to WCW Nitro tonight?" And she's like, Yes.
Correct. Well, thanks for letting me go back on a tangent. Let's end the round though. Let's keep going.
Sure.
End of round. Moving into our fourth official round. Round cuatro. Acting. Ole. That's we're doing a
Can
lucha.
Explain that a little bit, or the Lucha Libre?
Lucha Libre. That's also professional wrestling.
I should have worn my Lucha Libre mask for this episode.
Well,
maybe when we do Nacho Libre versus something.
Yeah, the wrestler. Oh shit.
So I'll start this off by saying fucking Mickey Rourke is incredible.
Yeah,
I think the fact that he didn't win the Oscar is because he did not.
He didn't?
No, Sean Penn got it. I think
Milk?
I think
Milk?
Mystic River, I think, unfortunately.
Oh.
Well, I wonder if the Academy...
If it was for Milk, then I kind of get it, but I think this was better than that performance.
I've never seen Milk. I wonder if the Academy didn't want to give the Oscar to someone who was
Milk.
like... Oh, was it Milk?
Yeah, it would have been Milk. Huh. Well, that makes my day sad.
Yeah. Because, what do you got to do if this isn't it?
Yep.
He's Mickey Rourke was pretty outstanding. I thought Marissa Tomei was also good.
Yeah, she was great.
She was good. I don't know if they gave her enough to do in the movie to be great. Right. She was definitely just like a supportive device as opposed to like a main character.
Yeah, I hear that.
So I thought the daughter was rough.
I did not think this is good Evan Rachel Wood.
I don't know.
It was actually.
What else? She was doing what was in the script.
It was so much. So much. And I get that.
I bought it.
But this is why I'm saying really? I needed more of that relationship to justify the very first scene being her being like, "Fuck you, I fucking," you know what I mean? It was too much right off the bat.
Okay, yes, that whole thing was underwritten, but I don't know. I bought everything she did. I bought the emotion she was going through. Because I just assumed that he'd been a neglectful father for 20 years or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Something about it. I'm not saying she's a bad performer because I like Evan Rachel Wood.
Yeah.
What else has she been in?
Westworld, Across the Universe.
Yeah, Across the Universe is dope.
Oh, right.
Yeah. She's really good. She's in a bunch of other stuff too, but I don't know her filmography super well, but she's good. I like her a lot. I just think this is just somehow it's it feels like she's just acting in a different movie. I'm not saying it's a bad performance. I'm just saying it's in the wrong movie.
Yes, and that's a very good point. I think that's why it was so jarring because everything else is so kind of small and understated and quiet, and then she comes in like a fucking bull in a china shop, and it's out of left field when you're already kind of in this quiet zone and feeling like you want to fucking vomit from sadness.
Yeah. And I'm going to be real honest. We don't know, especially with a movie like this, where there was so much improvising going on for sure from Mickey Rourke. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a young Evan Rachel Wood improvising some just some bad stuff where, doing that self-indulgent actor thing. I'm just saying either way, whether it was that or just bad writing to work with, I didn't enjoy those parts of the movie very much. You're not supposed to enjoy them, I guess, but
I didn't like her heartbreak. So
yeah, exactly. I didn't like her telling her father that she never wanted to see him again as much as I thought I wanted to, I really wanted to enjoy that.
Right. Yeah. Really.
I thought I liked all the kind of little behind the scenes conversations you get to kind of overhear from the wrestlers in the locker room.
Yes. Yes.
That was
so
that
good.
was cool.
Yeah, they were all
that was
good. Yeah.
that was a cool insight.
Oh,
And I
you're
mean,
doing are you working the leg? Okay. No, that's cool. We can do neck. You're doing the leg. Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's cool because that apparently is how it happens. Like you mark the match beforehand, and like everyone kind of makes sure that no one else is like stealing each other's shit, and it's all just yeah. So I thought that was really cool, and I think that in general, I mean, obviously the reason why wrestlers are able to transition into acting easier than other professions, let's say, is because they already have the experience of being on TV, so they're more comfortable in front of a camera, which I think helps these guys.
yeah. Right.
Even to a certain extent in Ready to Rumble as well, but just not because everything is so much more over the top. It's not as naturalistic. So like you're watching a character as opposed to watching like the person behind the character and the wrestler who's like, you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know what else to really talk about in The Wrestler. That it's really just Mickey Rourke's show, and then a bunch of like non-actors and Marissa Tomei and Evan Rachel Wood.
I think Todd Barry is a delight.
Which one is Todd Barry?
Todd Barry is the comedian who plays his boss at the like Superstore.
Oh my god, the moment where he walks in on his boss watching porn.
Ever tried
and
knocking?
his boss doesn't stop watching porn. He's just
He's
like,
like,
you want to try again? Fucking knock this time or whatever it is.
No, I'm serious. Go out. He's like, I'm serious. Let's do that again. And then like makes him do it and just
he was good. He was frustrating, but yes, good.
Well, he nails it, right? You kind of he is definitely a funny person, and his tone and delivery makes you want to laugh, but it makes you laugh in a way that breaks your soul.
Because Judah Friedlander was also the guy in the Devils jersey who's like setting up some of the fights. Yeah. So they must have cast a few comedians to fill in the
I thought that guy was a comedian. He looked familiar.
Yeah. He was on 30 Rock.
Yeah.
Oh, is that him?
Yeah. Jonah on 30 Rock.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
With what's his Sunshine or whatever?
Oh, Sunty.
Sunty.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And then there's the film that doesn't have acting that has David Arquette and Scott Conn.
Well, okay. Let's not
Scott
go
Conn,
overboard
that's his
here.
name, right?
Yeah.
That guy.
James Caan's son.
So.
Oh, gross. Get over yourself, Hollywood. Stop
James
putting your
Caan?
kids in stuff.
Who's James Caan? Well, now I have to find a James Caan film to make my classic for my picks, I guess.
Is he a director or an actor?
Sad blind guy who shows up for a few minutes in The Road. There's a fun movie.
James. Now I'm going to look up James Caan's filmography, see what I can come up with.
I disagree that there is no acting happening in Ready to Rumble.
Sure.
Okay.
There's like bad acting, but it is acting.
Okay, no. David Arquette, that's a non-starter. He's fucking horrendous in this film.
I think James Caan or whatever his name is actually not bad. Scott Conn.
Scott Conn was not bad. He was he played like a decent straight man who was given some pretty irritating material.
Yep.
Yeah. Sure.
I thought Oliver Platt was actually quite good in this movie. Again, bad writing, bad material. Good, but good acting for what the character is, which might.
Sure. Okay. For him, yeah. For him, he checked all the boxes that were required of his character.
How dare you? How dare you?
I know what you mean, Dan. He doesn't break it like David Arquette does. David Arquette breaks the movie
David
every time he
Arquette
speaks.
Takes a big shit on this film.
Oh my God.
Rose McGowan is terrible. Scott Conn
with a terrible scene character as well, like a non-character.
Yeah, I think that she would have just been bad regardless. That was all around terrible. But I thought Oliver Platt was good. I thought Salman Bandini, the guy who played him, what's his name?
Sal Bandini. I don't know.
Sal Bandini.
Martin Landau.
Yeah, he was funny as fuck.
Yeah,
and had a pretty grounded, like profound moment with the king in that hospital room.
Yeah, like a real moment.
Yeah, he's an actor. He's a really good actor. And they gave him a shit role in a shit movie, and he went, okay, I'll do better than all the young people.
Yeah.
Well, and let's for a second talk about the comedian who plays the king's wife. I forget her name. Was it Caroline?
Caroline Ray.
Yeah. Also not a good showing for her.
No.
But again, the son was also shit bad. Characters. Oh my God, the son. My God.
I got crabs. Had crabs for 7 years. You want them?
You want to see what they look like?
Huh? And he goes,
Have you ever seen what crabs look like? Have you ever seen
what
crabs look like?
I don't
live.
think so. Not in person.
No,
No.
I haven't seen what they look like in person, but I googled what they look like one time under a microscope.
Yeah.
Yo, they
they're
look like
mites.
fucking. They're like actual crabs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
This is going on YouTube for sure.
yeah. The crab talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crab.
Just make sure you start it with porn. Dan talks about crabs.
I've noticed that your YouTube titling has gotten saucier and saucier.
Yeah, I mean, good. Yeah. What was the one? I did one for Godzilla that was man in rubber suit destroys hot models.
Yes. Yep. I lulled, as the children
Good,
say.
thank you. Good,
Yeah.
good. The children don't say that.
As the kid, no one says
They
that.
say like frashizzy or whatever.
Yeah. That's current and real.
Yeah.
Oliver Platt, horribly miscast. We mentioned
Yes.
that. No reason to be. in
Doesn't
this
mean
film.
it was a bad performance.
It was not
Just
a good
saying.
performance, though.
It was.
But he was swimming
yes, it
swimming
was.
upstream,
Nah.
the whole movie though.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. But not bad. Bad casting, good performance, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I
not
think
breaking
that
it. He was doing his
didn't
best
break
to
it.
sell it. Yeah.
But
Like, I
but the
kind
movie
of
had
bought
been
it
broken,
sometimes.
so I was like, oh,
Yeah.
everyone's not supposed to be here.
Yeah. The guy
What has Oliver Platt done? Oh, he's in
Sinclair was fine. He seemed like he was in a real movie, sort
Sinclair.
of. The
guy who
Cypher
played the
from
boss.
Matrix. Yeah, the boss guy, Sinclair.
Oh, yeah, Joe Pentagliano, I think his name is. Yeah,
he was good.
He did the thing.
I thought DDP was
Yeah.
actually pretty good, considering he's not an
The
actor. he's just a
wrestlers
wrestler.
did fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. DDP and Goldberg in their little moments were like kind of fine.
Mm-hmm.
They were better than the people they hired to be actors.
Yeah, but like
Sometimes.
this movie,
Yeah.
I guess the summation is one movie had an actor in a moment in his life where he knew that a performance of that caliber could bring him a new life, literally, and he did that. And then the other film has David Arquette.
Who didn't need the new life because
Yeah.
he was such a huge
'Cause
celebrity.
He was already with Courtney Cox. He was making bank off the Scream syndication on TV, I bet,
Well, this would have been. What year did Scream come out? I guess it was early
97?
90s, eh? 97, okay. And he was probably in
hate
like all of
that.
them, wasn't he? Was he Dewey?
Yeah, I think he's been in all of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Up to 4. Well, I have nothing more to say.
Barf.
I'm just so disappointed with your inability to appreciate good acting. Both of you. I'm talking to both of you.
Okay. Okay, Daniel. Okay.
End of round.
Eat shit, Dan. My retort of fuck you.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. End of round. So let's get into
See you in a cage. Sorry, let's move on.
See you in the cage, my man. Okay, so let's get into our lightning round, which is I think this week going to be known as Gripes and Gripes.
Yeah, it's gonna be shit on, ready to rumble for 2
Yeah.
minutes.
So this is our lightning round, likes and gripes, where we air any extra likes or gripes that we had about these two movies in 2 minutes. And that's the whole thing. I will get my timer up here. So ready to go. We'll go in our typical order of Sean, Dan, Jack. That just gives me time to switch back to my list. And are we ready?
Sure.
Yeah, girl. Sean,
All right.
me, you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Like sacrificial ram.
Gripe. Shit Slurpees.
Like bashful Mohawk guy.
Like Martin Landau.
Gripe. Getting molested by police.
Yeah, I was gonna say gripe grabbing your son's friend's balls.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like waking up with fireman boots on.
Yeah, like the fireman ferret girl was my.
Yeah.
Gripe that they were left behind after their truck crashes.
Gripe, the opening title graphic.
Like the farting nuns.
This is kind of a likey gripe, but more on a gripe side. Mickey Rourke clapping perfectly off time.
Gripe, thinking they've earned their lazy nun van scene by that point in the movie.
Gripe. Toxic parenting.
Gripe, looking in a woman's dressing room and then saying, "We were just checking out your breasts" to one of them, and then she walks up to you and talks to you, and she likes you, and then you have her poster, and she says, "You're really sweet."
Yep. Gripe, thinking they've earned that many crotch kicks.
Like naming a strip club Cheeks.
I'll say that this movie is actually the opposite of the League of Your Own.
Gripe's body trauma.
Oh yeah, no kidding. Like the 90s fucking sucked.
Like the wrestling planning scene.
Likes nothing else.
Like the website hackersplanet.com.
Gripe, David Arquette again.
Oh, I had that. Yeah, I had that too.
Yay. Well done.
Yay.
Gripey.
Also, I know we're after time, but Major Gripe having an entire like plot point be a fucking cop family bragging about shooting people.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about the police.
Problematic, man.
Wrong, bad, yeah.
Yeah, he says touching men is gay.
Right.
Is a line in this movie.
Yeah.
Also, the line "she's too much like one of the guys," that's gay. I heard that and I was like, "What are you talking about? That's the fucking dream."
Yeah.
Yeah, just the whole police thing is pretty messed up, but like maybe kind of accurate. Who knows? No, it's not. It's not even anything real.
I do believe that someone has shot their fridge in rage as a cop.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
Do you
Just
believe
as
that
an American citizen?
Yeah.
that the same cop has used his firearm to threaten his son into taking the police exam?
Maybe not to take the police exam, but I wouldn't be shocked if that same policeman has threatened his family with his firearm at some point.
Yeah.
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 See, that's the deeper message in Ready to Rumble. It's actually a social commentary on the destructive nature of the police force in America.
It's a scathing rebuke.
Yes.
I will say it's kind of funny that on one hand you have David Arquette and this like cartoonish police dad who rolls up like where's the wascally wabbit, like he's doing this full cartoon send-up thing, and then you have Scott or whatever his friend's thing where he's like, damn, my truck crashed, that's the only thing my dad left me after he died, and then like and then that's really quickly like glossed over again as they get back to like stupid fart jokes. I thought that was actually kind of funny if you think about it as a funny thing.
Flirted with quality comedy.
Yeah, flirted.
Just flirting with it. Yeah.
What if we were funny, they thought, and then they didn't. So let's rate these movies. And then they're like, more poop maybe? And the toilet paper flies out with a funny sound effect all over the poop that they spilled. So let's rate these movies. So in terms of the first category, story, which one did you enjoy more? Which one was the story that you would link to? For me, it's The Wrestler.
Yeah, I also think, I just think there were subtle nuances in The Wrestler that Ready to Rumble didn't quite meet. So yeah, I got to go with The Wrestler.
Moving on.
Oh, didn't I?
Obviously, it's The Wrestler.
Okay, second one. Looks. Now, I just think The Wrestler had more subtle nuances that really shone and...
fuck you both. Sorry, continue. I didn't mean to
No.
stop.
Continue your
Disagree with that.
I actually don't. I'm a little torn on this one. Actually, I know I'm going to lose, so it doesn't matter what I'm going to say. I think that that Ready to Rumble was more fun to look at, and I got bored with the look of The Wrestler. But I thought that the choice was more interesting and clever. I guess that probably deserves the win. So I guess my point goes to The Wrestler.
Yeah, I think The Wrestler could work beautifully as a silent film. It's so
It almost
it's so
was.
visually.
Yeah.
It almost was. Yeah, there's almost no words and no music. You're right.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's why I think that. So The Wrestler, fucking a million times.
Great.
Sounds good.
The Wrestler.
The
Ready
Wrestler.
to Rumble. Okay.
Is that your real vote? Are you bringing it there? Just for the
Yeah,
records.
I think it has to be. I pled my case for it earlier in the podcast. It's
Yep.
All
I
right.
think it's ready to rumble.
Great.
You have that recorded, Sean, in our
It's yes, it is.
good. Okay.
Yep.
Moving on to Axe Good. Now, in this one, I think Ready to Rumble really just has a subtle nuance.
Subtle
to
nuance.
it.
Subtle nuance to it.
You know what I mean? It's kind of an anti-acting. You know what I mean? Like they're really going.
I did think for a moment that maybe it was some kind of critique of American society in some way. I legitimately did think afterwards. I was like, maybe I was wrong, and
Like it's
Well,
a prequel to Idiocracy or something.
yeah, something
It's
like that.
it's for sure a critique of wrestling fans. So like
It
that
is.
that
The-
subsect of America.
The people they want to watch the film.
Yeah, I can't get over that they were like, we're marketing this to you dumbasses.
You fucking dumb
Dumb
idiot
fucks.
virgin
Yeah.
fucks.
Here's some more shit for you, you
Yeah.
idiots.
But you come from an idiot town filled with idiots who also watch wrestling.
No, but like literally in Idiocracy, it's like it is a prequel. There's a whole show in Idiocracy
Yeah.
about a guy who gets kicked in the balls.
Yeah. And the
that's what this-
wrestler is the president.
Are we onto something?
Oh, that's good.
Did Idiocracy come out later?
Yes. I don't know actually.
I think Idiocracy was like 2002. I think so.
Yeah.
So it might be like a response to this movie. That, like a
Maybe.
filmmaker was like, that's it. That's enough.
This
I need
film
to talk
got enough
about how we're
attention
getting
that it-
dumber as a society.
It needed a response, this film. Like, people needed to respond to this. Yeah. Acting,
Yeah.
wrestler.
Wrestler. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the best performances that you might ever see.
This is making me so sad. Okay, yes, the wrestler. Continue.
And our bonus round, just to see who will it tip the scales? Well, let's find out. Rewatchability, The Wrestler.
The wrestler.
I can't wait to watch it again in a few years.
The wrestler.
Hey.
Hey.
Although I've
Papa
seen
Chow.
Ready to Rumble more times, so does that actually justify a vote for Ready to Rumble?
It's up
I
to
don't
you
know.
whether it is 1 point shy from being a clean sweep for the wrestler or 2 points shy from being a clean sweep for the wrestler.
I'm just so sad, guys. I have such fond memories of this movie from my
Yeah.
childhood, and to watch it now and just see what it truly is.
Had-
It makes
had
me
you seen the-
question so much about my upbringing.
Well, had you seen the wrestler before?
Once, a few years ago,
Okay.
I was very stoned. I
Right.
remember
Oosh.
really appreciating it.
Yeah.
Because again, you put a movie about professional wrestling in front of me, I'm gonna like it, right?
You'll watch it.
I'm gonna
So-
watch it.
So did you legitimately think that there would be a competition this week?
No. I
Okay.
rarely.
Okay.
No, when I
Alright.
make pairings like this, no. But I thought,
That's kind of the podcast.
yeah, okay, we did fucking King Kong versus MVP a few
And
weeks
it was
ago.
close.
And it was close.
Yeah, that highlights some glaring issues with the format. But I think that remembering the movie the way that I did, I thought that there would be more fodder for conversation. I didn't
Right.
know. I didn't remember it being so atrocious that it would just be a fucking blowout.
All right,
You know what I
that's fair.
mean?
That's
I
fair.
thought that it would be like the fun counterpart to The Wrestler. The Wrestler is like the gritty fucking like real look into the fucking what's the word I'm looking for? The dramatic
Into the genre
world
or whatever.
And-
Yeah.
no, just into like the underworld of professional
Right.
wrestling.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
you
as-
have the fun kind of over the top colorful comedy.
Yeah, but like
Fair.
that's why I get as a pairing. It's just that The Wrestler is a movie that's hard to put up against anything. Like it's
Yeah.
just
Sure, but I also
That's
didn't
tough
have
seas.
another movie. I wanted to do a pro wrestling week, and I don't know another movie that would have worked. I don't know another pro wrestling movie.
Aaron brought up Nacho Libre.
Nacho Libre, yes, Nacho Libre probably would have been good too.
I
as
haven't
a
seen this one.
classic.
But I
No,
as the
schlock.
schlock. But I don't know if it's it's a pretty
yeah.
fucking funny movie. I don't know if I'd
Yeah.
call Nacho Libre schlock. But again, I haven't seen it in a long time, so maybe that would have been a better
it's a
pairing.
Jack Black stupid movie. Like it's
Yeah.
probably.
But is it
you
one of
would
those
probably call
those
it
like
schlock.
okay, yeah, it's one of those films that's like not really a classic, but it's also not terrible enough to be a schlock contender.
It's like a classic in that it's one of those movies everyone has at least heard about.
Right.
But I don't know if that means it's
Yeah.
actually any good. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Well-
But that's a good point. Maybe that would have been better. But again, this was like from my fucking. This was from my child. I remembered it a very different way. So I'm
okay.
sorry, guys.
It's okay.
No, it's fine.
It's good to learn more about you. I feel bad for you more than I did.
Yeah, me too,
You know
man.
what I
This
mean?
week depressed the fuck out of me.
Well,
A young Dan just clinging to this movie for
we've
joy.
yet to award our victor.
Oh, right. So without any further ado, the Citizen Kane of the week is the wrestler. Ba with the ba da bang dang diggy diggy. Congratulations, the wrestler. You are still
go.
a good movie.
Yeah.
You have been legitimized as a film through this
Yeah.
podcast.
I can't believe I'd never seen it.
Yeah,
you hadn't
I'm
seen it
glad
before?
I'm glad
No,
you
I'd
saw
never
it.
seen it before. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not surprised you wouldn't watch it. I mean, it's about
But like
fucking
in,
pro wrestling.
in that phase of my life, I was all about the Oscars. I was all about oh, these movies are good because they get Oscars, because Oscars equal good.
Yeah, because
Fair.
their friends told them that they were good.
Yeah.
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 But this is a legitimately good film.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Then I succeeded this week by just
sure did.
introducing you to a great movie. Let's move on.
That's part of it.
Okay.
What's Sean, you got some picky poos for
I
us,
do.
right?
I'm torn three ways. So
About your picky poos?
about my picky poos.
Your picky poos are tearing you?
They're
Okay,
tearing
I'm
me.
done.
These, yeah.
Sorry, I watched Ready to
Crohn's disease,
Rumble
baby. Yeah.
this week, so my humor is now garbage.
Yeah.
So
So could you please tell me whether you would like submarines, boats, or airplanes?
Oh, for sure, not boats.
I don't know if I want to watch The Hunt for Red October though. But is it gonna be against Battleship?
Yeah, if we do Battleship, I
I
haven't
want to
seen
watch Battleship. I haven't seen it, but I want to watch Rihanna in a movie.
I would watch Battleship, but I also kind of want to watch like Air Force One.
We've done an airplane thing
we did
before.
we did do airplane. We did
I feel like
airplane and snakes
Airplane
on a
and
plane,
snakes on
didn't
a
we?
plane. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
was that
some.
the pairing? That was my pairing, wasn't it?
That was
Those your pairing, yeah.
I'm leaning towards boaty submarines. Do you have a strong preference of one of those two, Dan? Are you with me on this?
I think if I had to choose, I would like a boat submarine mashup. If there's a way you can combine, but if I had to choose, I would go submarine. Probably.
Submarine.
That feels
Submarine
very
movie?
specific. Yeah, maybe submarines.
Okay. Well, we are going to watch The Hunt for Red October.
Fantastic. I've never seen it.
And it is going to go up against the Kelsey Grammer-led mid-'90s Yuck Yuck comedy, Down Periscope.
Kelsey Grammer. Oh boy.
And Rob
Well,
Schneider.
I have to. Oh god, I have to write these down.
And Rob. Oh, it's about time we got some Rob Schneider on here.
Yeah.
I
beat me to it.
watched a clip from his recent stand-up special on Netflix. He's actually pretty fucking funny
Yeah.
as a stand-up. As an actor,
haven't watched it.
but
Yeah.
So
I
we're
mean,
doing the-
let's be real. We at different points in our lives, I think, have all enjoyed some of Rob Schneider's work. I think he's not to be fully discredited. He is a dummy in real life, but can be funny. Has been funny in the past, I'd say.
what's the name of the Kelsey
Especially in
Grammer
Surf
movie?
Ninjas.
Down Periscope.
Surf Ninjas. Down Periscope.
Yeah.
Okay.
A Yuck Yuck comedy. With
Yuck Yuck.
Kelsey Grammer.
I can always count on you, Sean, to pitch a movie I've never fucking heard of.
Well, okay. I've never heard of Ready to Rumble, but
Yes, you
like,
had. Your reaction was
I
last week. Your reaction
thought-
was, "Oh, I've heard of this movie.
I was
seen the
mistaken.
posters."
I was picturing the guy that looks like David Schwimmer but isn't. What's that guy? Anyways, there's a movie with him and like
That looks
boxing.
like
I
David
think.
Schwimmer.
Yeah, I'll
David
come up with the
Arquette?
name. No, it's not
they do look
important.
similar.
But you've surely heard of The Hunt for Red October.
That
I
one,
think
yes.
it means down Periscope.
I mean
Yeah, I haven't
down
heard of down
Periscope.
Periscope either.
Oh,
But-
yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited. Yeah, see, this is going to be a clash of titans. Sean Connery versus Kelsey Grammer. Who drinks more? So, yeah, so tune in. That's it. That's all she wrote. And congratulations, the wrestler.
Yeah.
Official vote for me on this podcast is that I advocate that Sean Penn. Oh, I don't want to strip him of his Oscar for Milk, but there should be a second Oscar for Mickey
You
Rourke.
should just give everyone Oscars.
Everyone gets an Oscar. Participation Oscars.
Yeah.
All right.
And
Shut the fuck up versus